how to ask for feedback at work and get something you can actually use. Have you tried asking for feedback at work, but they just say, good job, keep doing what you're doing, but you know there are ways that you can learn and grow and you want to develop as an employee? Well, it may not be that people don't have things to share, but it may be the way that we're asking. So in this video, let's learn how to ask for feedback so we can get something that we can actually use. In this video, we're going to cover why most feedback conversations go wrong, 3 rules that will make getting open, honest, and feedback easier and safer for the giver, when to ask for feedback and who to ask for, and by the way, it's not just your boss, and what to do once you get feedback to make sure that you actually put it into practice and learn. Hi, if we haven't met before, I'm Chris Littlefield. I'm the founder of a company called Beyond Thank You, and I spent the better part of 20 years training leaders at top companies around the world, from L'Oreal to Colgate-Palmolive to the United Nations and more, how to have the conversations that matter most. Now, one of those conversations is how to give feedback and also how to receive feedback. But sadly, many times we ask for feedback and we get crickets, or we get, well, you're doing a good job, or keep doing what you're doing, which isn't really useful. So why do feedback conversations or requests for feedback often go wrong? Well, many times we make it so difficult for the other person to give us open and honest feedback. Now, one of the first things we do is we ask questions like, do you have any feedback for me? Which are vague and really hard to answer. Is that feedback on your last presentation? Is that feedback on how you're doing in general? What it's like to sit next to you every day? On your breath? I don't know. But it makes it really hard to answer because it's not a specific question that we're asking, which we'll get to answering later on in this video. The second one is how we've responded to feedback in the past. Maybe this person has tried to give us feedback, but when they did, we got defensive, we got angry, we spent all of our time proving how they were wrong, or maybe even asked for feedback in the past and they gave it to us and then we went, well, that's not true. So they're less likely to do it because the way we responded in the past. And then the last thing is many times we put people on the spot. Maybe we ask them and they're in the middle of something, they're busy, or they didn't have time to prepare or think about their answer to their question. So we're going to talk about how to navigate around each one of these in this video. Now let's talk about 3 rules for asking for feedback at work. 1, be specific. Don't just ask, hey, do you have any feedback for me? Or, hey, what did you think of that presentation I gave or that report I just turned in? And instead, ask about something specific. Hey, what's one thing you liked about that last presentation? And what's one tip that you'd give me to take it to the next level next time? Or what's one thing that I may do without realizing it that slows down work on our team? And what's one recommendation or thing that works for you that may help me fix that? And if there's something that you have a specific question about how you come across, or about an interaction you had in a meeting, don't just ask for general feedback, but ask about that specific scenario. And by the way, a really great tip is to write up that question, send it to the person so they have time to think about it. Rule number 2, make it safe for them to be open and honest. Now, if you've gotten defensive in the past, you want to acknowledge it. Hey, I know I haven't been great about accepting feedback in the past, but today I'm really open for your input on this. And then you may want to say some sort of line like, nothing that you share today is going to hurt my feelings, and I really want to hear your input on this. And then the last thing is that if you are the boss or your supervisor, then remember that there's a power dynamic there. And also note, this isn't about an evaluation. This isn't about make wrong. I just want your input so I can learn and grow. And by the way, if you are the boss, this is a great way to create psychological safety on your team. Now, rule number 3 builds on rule number 1, and rule number 2 is make it easy for people to answer. Now, the first thing we can do is we can write up our specific questions about a specific scenario, moment, or interaction and send them to people ahead of time if we're about to meet or have a one-on-one and said, hey, next time we meet, I'd love to get your input on this scenario, and here are my questions that I have about it, so they can think about it ahead of time. Now, if you are meeting one-on-one, one great technique is used a pulse check question. Hey, I'm curious at how engaging was that last meeting that I facilitated? 10 fully engaging or 1 not engaging at all? And as they go and they answer and they go, I don't know, 7, which is kind of a safe answer to test how the person's going to respond, you can come back and go, I don't know, I was thinking it was more like a 6 or like a 5. And then you can ask a follow-up question. What's one thing I did that made the meeting engaging? And what's one thing I could do in the future to bring it to the next level? And then you can have a dialogue or discussion about it. So when's the best time to ask for feedback? And who are some of the people that we want to ask for feedback from other than just our boss or supervisor? Well, one of the best times to ask is at the midpoint of a project, after a presentation, or maybe even a tough interaction with a client, customer, or other department. Now, when it comes to who do we want to ask, don't limit yourself just to your boss. Many times, some of the most open and honest and useful feedback comes from the people that we manage, our peers, or even people in other departments or other divisions that will give us a whole new lens on how we come across that we may not see otherwise. And remember, asking for someone's feedback is a great way to show that you really appreciate and value them and that they're part of your growth. Now, what do we do once we get this feedback? Well, first, we always want to thank people for their feedback, and we want to thank them in the moment, and then we also want to follow up with an email and say, hey, thank you. What you shared was really helpful, whether it was helpful or not. And then while people are sharing, we want to make sure we don't get defensive. We don't say that's wrong or this is wrong, but just ask questions and get curious. Whether you agree or disagree, remember what you're getting is a perspective. And then afterwards, just think about what you're going to do with it. And most importantly, tell them what you're going to do with it. Hey, that idea you shared, I'm going to take that to heart and I'm going to apply that in the next meeting to make my meetings more engaging. So if you want to grow as a leader and you're asking for feedback and you're just getting good job, keep doing what you're doing, try asking some different questions and see if you get some different responses. And of course, let me know how it goes. I'm Chris Littlefield from Beyond Thank You. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please hit like and subscribe. And if you want to help take your leadership to the next level or your organizations, reach out to me at beyondthankyou.com.